Hey, what's up guys? I'm back with another video, and in today's video I wanted to clone the popular Google Momentum plugin here. Okay, so this is actually what we're going to build, and this right here is Momentum. And if you're not familiar with Momentum, basically it just gives you the time, gives you a little like daily mantra and some quotes down here, and also the local weather. This is just a free version. You can do other things if you pay, but this is nice here. But what we're going to do, we're going to go back to ours. Basically, I have the weather up here, and we're talking to Open Weather Map, the API, and I'm going to show you how to connect and talk to their API using Axios. So we're going to do that from the beginning. Also, we have the time here. We're using a React package called React Moment, I believe it is, and time zone. I'll show you how to install that package and how to utilize that. And then kind of says good morning, Clint. For the afternoon, it says good afternoon, etc. And we have the date up here, just basic JavaScript, pulling out our date there and formatting it. And then as well as down here, we have a quote that's getting pulled from Go Quotes. It's an API, and I'm going to show you again how to use Axios to talk with that API. And as you can tell, when we refresh the page, our background is going to change, as well as we're going to grab another quote. And I'm just using Unsplash to generate some random images in our CSS file. So we're going to use a little bit of hooks in here, some useState and useEffect when we work with Axios to talk to our APIs. If you're a complete beginner, that's great. I'm going to show you how to do everything exactly from the beginning from a blank terminal. So if you're ready to get started, let's get going. Okay, so we're starting off here in VS Code. I just have a blank terminal open. I'm going to press the Control Backtick button to open up the terminal here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to change the directory to the desktop, just for me personally. And we're going to create our React app. So npx create-react-app, and then whatever you want to call it. I'm going to call mine momentum. Momentum-clone. Okay, press enter. This should only just take a few moments, depending on what kind of machine you're running. All right, it says happy hacking. I'm going to go ahead and drag over my folder that we just created, and now we are in our project. So let's go ahead and clean a few things up like I usually do here. Just gonna declutter a bit. Makes it a little bit easier to follow for everybody. We'll delete that. This will throw some errors if you start your server now. So to prevent that, we're going to delete this, delete that, and then our app.js, we can get rid of all this. We'll just keep our div. And up here, we'll just import React from, not form, from React. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'm just going to put a hello in here, and I'm going to start my server just to make sure everything is running properly. Let's have a look. Yes, already have one open. This will be the other one here. Should just say hello, and there we go. Okay, so back to VS Code. What we're going to do now is kind of just set up our file structure. So we're just going to be working in this source folder. We're going to create a subfolder called components. And in here, we're going to, this application is made up of basically 4 separate components, and you can create them whatever you'd like, whatever order you'd like. I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Let's do our weather.js. We're going to have a time.js. We're going to have a date.js. And then also a quote.js. And we're going to do styled components, but we'll do that here in a little bit. So we can close this index file. And then in here, let's start off with our, weather. So I'm going to close these for now. And I'm going to use RAFCE as a little quick extension. So if you want to go into your extensions here, if you type React, should pop right up. Not ES7, React Redux. It's just some quick extensions that you can install to kind of just speed up your coding just a little bit here. So RAFCE generates a functional component, and that's what we're going to be using. So let's go ahead and close the server down, and we want to install Axios, because Axios is what we're going to be using to talk with our API. So just type npm I Axios, and if you want to read some documentation, just Google Axios. I think it's like axios-http.org or .com, something like that. I'm not going to dive too deep into it, but just Google it if you want a little more information. So npm start, we're going to start our server back up, and let's import at our top here Axios from Axios. Okay, and we are going to use hooks here. We're going to use the useState and also the useEffect hook to talk with our API and use Axios. I've scratched the surface with hooks with useState specifically in some previous videos. I have not done any useEffect videos, I don't think. This is not a video over useEffect, but we will be using it. So up here, let's do our useState here hook. We'll go ahead and pull these in at the top. So useState, and also we're going to use the useEffect. So this is going to take two values here, brackets, not curly brackets. I'm going to say data and set data, okay? And this is going to be useState. We want to give it a null value as default, okay? So in here, and you know what? Let's go ahead and set up our, since we're doing our API, let's go ahead and sign up for that. So we are going to use the Open Weather Map, API here. So if you go to openweathermap.org, I'm already signed in, but just log in up here. It's going to send you an email. Confirm your email. Then once you log in, we're going to click this API, and this current weather data is what we're going to be using. And I'm just going to copy over this first one right here. So copy that, and I'm going to make a variable right here. Just call it URL. Okay, and what we're going to do is we want to inside quotes, and don't forget to add https:// and then here it's asking for a few things. It's asking for the city name and also your API key. So I'm going to go ahead and enter Dallas. I'm in Dallas, Texas. So I'm going to do that. And then for your API key, once you log in, okay, this is your login page here. Once you click the link, there will be an API key here. And here is your key. So I'm going to copy that. And we're going to paste that. And this goes over the curly brackets as well. So if you leave the curly brackets, you'll be getting some errors. So also, I want to do one more thing. I want to format. Please click API here again. Then in the docs, format. So this is an easy way. What are we going to be using? We're going to be using this imperial right here. So actually don't need that. So I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to put it right here. And then don't forget, we need to add the ampersand sign. So there is our URL. Now let's connect to it. First, I'm just going to show you guys real quick. I'm going to copy it just to make sure it's working. There it is. So this is the data we want to pull. We're only going to pull one or two things. Temp right here is the main one that I want, but you can do the highs and lows when there's all sorts of information in here. So I'm going to go ahead and close that. You know, I might leave it open just to reference back to it. Let's go back here and let's connect to the API with Axios. We're going to be using the useEffect as I stated. So useEffect, and it's going to take an arrow function. And in here, we're going to say axios.get. Then in here, you could type your URL, but since we already extracted it up top, we're just going to call it right there. Then it's going to take a response with another arrow function. And this is going to be set data. So we're setting our state here. Set data. Okay. And we want to response.data. Okay. So we also want to catch any errors. And we're going to put these inside an arrow function just to console.log out any errors. I forgot our arrow. There we go. Okay. And also, don't forget, you guys, put a comma and some curly brackets here. This will kind of end our loop. Otherwise, your Axios will start making infinite calls to your API here. And this is just a free version on Open Weather Map. So I don't know what the limit is, but you are limited. And if it's making, 2,000 calls a second, basically, then they will ban you. So that's what we're going to do there. And also, really important, you guys, don't forget, we want to do an if statement here. If basically saying if there's no data, then return null. Okay. So let's see if we have anything coming out here. So I've worked with this API before, so I already know what to type, but if you don't, I'll tell you what, let's do this. We're going to inspect, and we're going to console log the data. Okay, before we forget, we should probably import this here. So let's go here, and we want to import, this is the weather. Okay, if you press enter, it'll auto import at the top, which is kind of nice here. So there, brought it in for us. So let's have a look. Okay, so there we go. This is our console.log. This is our API, what it's pulling. We don't want all of this information. What we do want is, see, the main in here. Where'd it go? Main. And we want the temp. So, and it looks like this should be an array, I believe. Let's see here. No, it's not. Just an object. So main, let's go in here. And what we want to type is data.main.temp. And that should at least, whoop, wrong one. Opened up Spotify. Okay, there's our temp. Perfect. So if you don't want the 0.84 there, you can always just do some plain JavaScript. We can just write to fixed. You can do 1 decimal point or 0. I'm going to do 0, so should clean it up. So 61 degrees. That is the current weather here in Dallas at this time. So let's go ahead and let's see here. That's basically it for the weather API. We haven't done any styles. We'll do that here in a little bit. Let's go ahead and go to our time. Yeah, we'll just go to our time here, and we're not using any APIs for time, but we are going to use a React package. I'll show you that. So let's go ahead and type RAFCE to generate our functional component. Let's import this here. Auto import it. There we go. We can close the weather for now. And in here, what we're going to be using, got it open here, React moment, and let's just scroll down in this moment time zone. So that's going to make it easy for you to grab the time and kind of navigate through your time zones. So I'm just going to copy that. I'm going to close our server down. I'm going to install the first one, and I'm going to install this second one, the moment time zone. And I'll show you the difference between these two. We do need both. You don't have to have both of them, but for this tutorial, I will be using both. So let's go ahead and start our server back up. Yes. Okay. There we are, right where we left off. And what I'm going to do is import moment from React moment. And also we're going to import the moment time zone. Okay. And in here, we're going to use, right in here, we're going to use our moment inside of a p tag. Whoops. Moment. Okay. And we want to use, let me just show you real quick how this is going to look. So that's what moment displays. Now, remember we got the moment time zone, and that's what I want to use right now. So let's go back. And it's really easy. All you want to do is type in format -LT. And if we go back, there it is, 2:15 p.m. That is the correct time. Now I'll just show you real quick the format. You can read over React moment, their white pages, all their documentation. Basically, we could do hours, minutes, seconds. You can do whatever you'd like to do. See, there is the seconds. But for this tutorial, I think it kind of looks clean if we just do LT for now. And what we wanted to say in Google Momentum, let's see how it would open here. This is actually Momentum, what we're cloning. We want it to have the time, and we want it to say good afternoon, good morning, good evening. We want it to, based off the time, we want it to say the, you know, the right thing here, the right greeting. So to do that, what we want to do, I'm going to go in here. Let's see. What we want to do, we're not going to use state or hooks or anything like that. Just some plain old JavaScript. So let today equals new date. Okay. And then, let's see here. We're going to have like a greeting. Okay. So that grabs our date. And then we'll say like, okay, greeting. Do an arrow function here. And here it's going to be basically a bunch of if-else statements. So, excuse me, if today.get hours is less than or equal to, let's say, 5 a.m. Sound good. And today.get hours is greater than 11, or less than 11, sorry. We want to return good morning, Clint. Okay, perfect. Else, if today.get hours is, let's see, greater than or equal to 11, and it is less than, we'll say 5 o'clock, which is 1700, return, we'll say good afternoon, Clint. Okay. Another else if here. Nope. Today.get hours. We'll say if it is greater than or equal to 5 o'clock. And today.get hours, it's let's see, we'll do less than, I want to say 24. What's a good time, right? Return. We're going to say good evening, Clint. Else, let's just have it say, hey, let's see, what are you doing up at this hour? Sound good? All right. So let's see, we have to put this in down here. And we're just going to put it in a little p tag. And what we're going to put in here is our greeting function. I'm going to save it. By the way, I have the prettier extension as well. So if you go over here to extensions, sorry, and type prettier, whenever you save it, that's all you need right there. Whenever you save it, it makes it nice. It aligns everything, it makes it nice and pretty. So let's go see what it's saying. There we go. Okay. So it is indeed after, what is it, 11 and before 5. So it's going to say, good afternoon, Clint. That is looking great. Let's go back to our code. I think aside from the styling, that pretty well wraps up the time. So let's do our date real quick. That'll be an easy one, quick and easy. So RAFCE will bring this in here. Date. Hit enter for the auto import at the top. Oh, didn't grab it for some reason. That's okay. All right. So in here, what are we going to do here? So for the date, we are not using any no hooks or anything like that. Basically, just some plain JavaScript. We're not using any packages for this either. So what I want to do, just a couple variables here. Let today equals new date. And essentially this is going to be like the same thing that we just wrote for the time. Very, very similar. Today.get full year. This is just JavaScript, you guys. And you can do it. This is going to be dividing up our date. So good slash, dash. I'm just going to do slash here. And we're going to say today.get month function. And let's add in that. And then today.get date. Okay. That should be it. We're going to put it in a p tag here. And let's just call our date. So what we're doing here, this is grabbing our date, and we can even console.log today. We're saving it today. And then the actual date that we're going to display, we are playing off this date. We're getting the full year. But if we just did the date, let me see here. Date is not a constructor. Let's go back here. Where did I mess up? Okay. What does not want me to call it that? So let's do this. Today. Let's see if that fixes it here. Perfect. So that's what we want to accomplish here. That is correct. But if we look down to what we logged here, so this is what we logged, and we don't want it to display all of that there. So let's go back to our code here, and that looks great there. We can comment that out. We won't be using that. And I think this is all we need to do aside from the styling. So let's move on to our last one. We're going to be doing our quotes here. So we want a little quote to appear at the bottom right here. Every time we refresh, we want it to grab a new quote. So let's generate our functional component and not forget to import it. There we go. Grabbed it at the top there. So we're going to be using Axios again, and similar, very similar to the weather .js file we did here. We're going to use state as well as use effect. Okay, and let's have our const URL. I'll leave that blank for now, and let's go ahead and grab our URL for the for our quotes. We're going to be using GoQuotes API. This looks like it's it right here. There we go. So this is what we want right here. You don't have to make an account. Just copy that over. And we want, oh, well, let's give it a shot here. And we want the post count to be 1. There we go. That's perfect. So delete that. Let's go back into our code here, and then inside the parentheses, or the quotes, sorry. And don't forget to add the 1. Now let's do our state. So say const, and our 2 values, we can use the same thing. Set data. We'll use state, and again, we want it to be null. And let's do our useEffect here. Oh, forgot, we have to import Axios. Axios from Axios. There we go. And where are we at? There we go. A little arrow function here. And in here, we're going to Axios.get our URL. Then we want a response in the arrow function. And it's going to be set data to response.data. Okay. And again, whoop, just data, not set data. We want to catch any errors, put them in a function to console.log the error. And again, we don't want it looping through anything there. And also we want, so if data, if there's no data, return null. Okay. So let's go ahead and console.log our data so we can look at what we need to grab. Here it is. So we're still logging the weather here. We can cancel it out. Right here is our console.log for our quotes. And this one, here, quotes. This one right here is in an array. And 0, since we only are looking for one post count, we have to just access the first item in the array, and that is going to do that by 0. And it's the text that we want. And we can grab the author as well. So let's go back in here. We can comment that out. And then down here, we're going to put that in some p tags. I have 2 of those. So what we want to do, data.quotes, and we're looking for the first item in the array, .text, and then again, we want data.quotes, first one, and instead of text, we want the author. Save that so it's nice and pretty. Let's go have a look. So there we go. And as we refresh, it grabs a new quote there. So I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. Kind of like a little dash there. There we go. So we know that's the author. So everything is looking great. Now we just need to do some styling. I think that's everything. Let's do the styling now. So what I want to do first is in Momentum, we have that beautiful background, and we're going to pull one over from Unsplash. And what we want to do is we want this background to refresh and grab a new background every time we reload the page. So here's how we're going to do that. Well, first I'm just going to give this a minimum height of 100%. And then in here, background URL. Okay. And let's go to Unsplash. Unsplash.com. Where is it? Featured. Let's see. Source. Unsplash. There it is. So /random. I want a theme though. Let's do featured with we can do a search feature. I think that's going to be it. So let's copy that. Hit enter. Well, okay. Well, let's go see here. Okay. Let's put that in. Okay. And no repeat. This is just CSS we're doing right now, guys. Center fixed. And then, or here, let's do a background size of cover. Whoop. Add that in there. I'm going to give it a color of basically an off-white. Now I'm going to add a little overlay in here just to make it kind of cool looking. So that was done under the body. So to do that, we're going to type body before, and we want our content position of absolute, top 0, right 0, bottom 0, left 0. We want to take up everything. Let's have a background, do black with, let's do 0.5. So this should be bringing in a picture right now. Let's have a look. There it is. All right, so we'll close this. That's a little dark. Let's refresh. Maybe we'll just lighten that up just a tad there. All right, so it's kind of where we're going here. Not bad, not bad. Let's style these up here, and we're going to do that with styled components. So we can close the index, and let's see. We'll start off. Let's go start off with the date here. So what we want to do is close our server here, And we're going to use styled components. Is this it? Rect moment. Axios, here it is. So I'm just going to copy that over. Feel free to read through the documentation here. Basically, this is what we're going to be doing. It just kind of explains it in more detail. I'll explain a little bit as we go along. So let's install styled components. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to create another file called date styles. And instead of CSS, it's going to be a JS file because this is basically styling in JavaScript. Start our server back up. And what we want to do here, we'll say import styled from styled components. And that is in our styles file here. And then in here, we want to, here's what we're going to do. So we can just replace these divs. The date, you can call this whatever you like. I'm going to say date container. And then I'm going to say date. So in here, we have to call these at the top. So we're going to say import date container. Whoops. Well, that technically that first one would be right. And date from our date styles there, or data. Whoops, I need to fix that. I'm going to rename that. Date styles. Okay, so make sure it works. Okay, great. So now after we import styled from styled components, here's how we do our styling. Very similar, but we have to first select our date container, which is a div. So export const, what we named it, which was the date container, equals styled dot div, since it's a div. The other one was a p tag, so it's going to be a p tag div, and then 2 backticks. And in here, we're just going to enter in our CSS. So right 0 top 0. We want our position to be absolute, because this is putting our date in the top right corner of the page, which is right where we want it. There we go. That should be it. And make sure my server gets started up, and our date should move over there. Oh. Importing date is not exported. Let's have a look. Oh, okay. I understand. So what I did not do is called that date, and we're not actually not even using that. We could just say P here. There we go. So that should be working properly. Let's give it a refresh. So there it is. So I did not style the P tag. I just left it as it is. And that was the error we were getting. So let's move on to these. We can actually, let's do the weather next. So go back to our, man, I keep clicking, sorry. Keep clicking on Spotify down here. Close the date and the date styles. And we'll create a, see, what weather styles dot, oh, there I go, trying to create a CSS file. So JS in here, what we want to do is, see our import styled from styled components. And we have, I believe it's a div. Yes, a div and a p tag here. And never did this, but I can just say Dallas, Texas. Okay. And what we're going to call right here is, let's just call it weather container. Okay. And then here, we're going to call it temp, and here a city. We need to import these, which we haven't created yet. We're going to import them from our styles folder, or styles file. So to our weather container, temp, and city. From weather styles. So let's go in here, and we need to do our weather container, our temp, and our city. The weather container is a div. So whoops, style div, do our backticks, and we'll do our other one, temp. This is a p tag. And let's copy that down. But that is going to be for the city. Let's do our CSS. Here in a margin of 1 rem, position, absolute. And this is just staying in the top left corner, so it's really not going to take much styling. Let's give it a font size of 2 rem. Give it a color. Let's do our white and no margin. And then for our city, text align, we want it to be just below in the center. And we'll give it just a slight margin. 4 pixels on the top and bottom only. Let's refresh that. So there it is, perfect. Our date looks good. Our weather there looks good, 61 degrees. Now let's go in and I forget how we put degrees sign. Let's see here. Look that up there. Let's see if that does it. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. All right. And probably close those. We don't need those. Let's see, we still have our time and greeting here and then our quotes at the very bottom. So let's do our time. We can close these here. We want to create our time styles dot, there you go. Okay. Okay, and let's go time here. And what we want to do, we'll probably do like this div here. Let's do call it whatever you like, but it's kind of like our welcome, our greeting here. So I'm going to say welcome. And this p tag, I'm going to call timestamp. And we'll just make this greeting. Let's import these. So import welcome. There we go. Just notice that. Welcome timestamp and greeting. Whoop. And that is from time style. Save that, get it all looking nice. Give it some room here. I believe the first one was the welcome. That is a styled div. And let's see, we had timestamp, styled p tag. And our last one was greeting. Whoop. Alrighty. So for our div, just a few styles here. We want the padding to be 1 rem. Oh. Whoa, what is it doing? I don't know why it's taking these shortcuts here that I do not want. Let's delete that. That will just present some issues. All right. And forget that. And it is doing it again. Sorry guys, I don't know why it's doing that automatically. Either way, we are done with that one. Now let's do our p tag. And this one's going to be pretty big font size. Let's do 8 rem. Font weight, let's make it pretty hefty there, 500. We don't want any margin. No padding, okay. We're going to do a media query. Again, media query, pretty easy this way. Basically, it's the same way, but you're able to do it under the same CSS here. And let's do 600 pixels. Make it 5 rem. Oh, give it some room here. Let's make this one 4 rem. Font weight, let's make it a little bigger. Let's do 600. Again, no margin and no padding. We're just going to drop down the text size just a little bit. Three rem. All right. Let's have a look here. Oh, wrong one. All right, that's looking great. We have our date up here at the top right, our weather up here, and then our nice big timing with good morning, Clint. The time has changed here. So let's go back and pull our quote. We want it right down here in the middle. So let's do our quote next. We're going to create a quote styles.js. And in here, we want to import styled from styled components. And we can close out these timing components. And there we go. In here, let's do, let's see, a quote container. We'll call our div that. Our first p tag. Actually, we can just make these the same. We don't need to do anything extra there. Okay, now let's bring them in here. Export and const quote container. Style div. And the other one text. All right, so let's give this some styling. We want a fixed position. Text align. Let's center. Bottom 0. Width, we're going to do 600 pixels. Left 50%. Margin left. We got to make this exactly half of the width here. Sorry if it's a little bit confusing the way I'm doing this, guys. There are a bunch of ways to do things in coding, so if this looks a little strange, I apologize. 350 pixels, but it achieves the job. It gets done what we are needing to get done. That is what matters. Okay, and let's just change this font size, 1.2 rem. All right, guys, I think that about wraps it up in this React app here. I showed you how to use Axios to talk to a couple different APIs, such as the Open Weather Map and Go Quotes. I'm going to put the link to both of those, Open Weather Map and Go Quotes, in the description below, so you can find those a little bit easier. They are free accounts. Open Weather Map, at least Go Quotes, you don't even have to sign up. But yeah, we have our temperature up here at the top left, our date that is correctly formatted in the top right. We have the time here. Good morning, Clint. and then also a quote here, and everything, when we refresh, everything changes. So I'd say that's pretty close here to momentum, that's what we were trying to do. I think we accomplished our task pretty well. So if you learned something, if you liked the video, I really would appreciate you consider subscribing to my channel. I'm going to be putting out some more React content just like this and some more technologies here in the near future. But yeah, I appreciate a like on the video, help the YouTube algorithm there as I grow my channel. If you'd like to see any other projects or anything specific, please put that in the comments below and I'll try to get to that. And thanks for watching, you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you on the next one.